Hey, how's everyone doing? This is Oscar from the Dreams and Trash podcast. Once again, thank you for all the views we got last week. Things are going really, really well. We're glad that you're enjoying our content. I've seen some comments up there. I've gotten some interesting DMs on Instagram. Thank you so much for everything. And Jason, take it away.
Yeah, thanks so much for the support so far, guys. And we're gonna keep on creating content for everyone. And hopefully, we're just gonna keep getting better and better at this. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, enjoy the episode.
Okay, so Jason, how have you been doing? How are things?
Hello, Oscar.
Hey, Jason, I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
I am doing all right. It's been a week.
Yeah, it's been a week. I came back from Osaka. I'm back in Saga, back in the countryside. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm only here for another 3 weeks. Then I go back to Osaka for good.
Oh, so wait, you
hmm
you you're gonna be the one packing everything?
yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy. So what happens is you call the moving company. They come and give you a quota. They look at all the things you have in your house, and then they send you the boxes to pack everything yourself. Then they come and collect everything on a specified date.
So all you need is see, they give you the boxes. So all
Yep,
you need
yep.
is tape. That's it.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, they also give you tape. Actually, they also give you tape.
So you're just packing, that's it. And
Yeah,
then they
just
come get
packing.
it, and it's like they'll pack
Yeah, yeah.
everything, the mattresses, the futons, everything.
uh no, the mattresses and like couch and fridge, they'll come and take like they'll disassemble the bed themselves, so I can't do that. So my bed is pretty big, so
Yeah,
the moving guys will disassemble the bed themselves.
I think you have a king size bed.
Not king size. I think it's a double. It's just a double, I think.
It's just a double.
Not- yeah, yeah.
Okay. And
Mhm.
where are you moving in Osaka, by the way?
I'm going to be living in the city, right in smack dab in the center of the city.
Which area? Osaka's a
uh,
big place.
just I'm gonna say Chuoku. That just means like central Osaka. Central Osaka.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's that's good enough. Well, as for me, life has been going on as normal. I can't wait until
Mhm.
the Christmas holiday comes around.
Oh yeah, by the way, so with Pepe, we usually get like 2 weeks off in December, right, with our company.
Yes, we do.
And so from what I was told on my end is that my last day of working will be on the 17th of December. Do you know when yours will be?
I think it's on the 18th or 19th.
18th. Okay.
Yeah.
So that means you're teaching Christmas lessons, because the Christmas
Yes.
lessons start on the 16th, I believe, or 17th. I'm not sure.
Yes, I have Christmas lessons scheduled for one of my schools. Only one of my
Okay.
schools, not all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
And well,
Mhm.
I'm just looking forward for the 2 weeks, man. Actually, I
Yeah.
might need to cash in on my vacation days. If I,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I want to cash in on my vacation days. I should do it now so that my supervisor isn't too stressed out and I come
Yeah.
to him last minute.
So what do you want to do with the vacation days? Are you trying to travel around Japan? Or do you want to?
Yeah, there was a friend who wanted to go to Kumamoto
Mm-hmm.
and Yufu,
Mm-hmm.
and he also wanted to do some hiking and climb a mountain. So that was what we were
Do,
talking about.
do you know which mountain?
No, there's a lots of mountains apparently. We haven't decided yet. But then
Oh,
it's
you
like
mean within Oita or Kumamoto?
Kumamoto, like the area between. There's like lots of
Okay.
mountains
Okay.
between Kumamoto and Oita. So it was just like, hey, we should just do the research, decide which mountain. We can decide where we're
Mm,
staying. Yufu has a really good onsen that is that an onsen? It's more of like a whole like it has a really good vacation experience.
yeah, that's what I hear. And people do a lot of snowboarding and skiing in Oita as well, right?
Yes. Between Yufu and Oita, there's this very famous mountain that apparently has lots of snow.
Oh,
And I
okay.
keep hearing about it. Was I not telling you about it last year?
Mm. Yes, you did. I thought you were going to go, but you didn't go. What
Ah, yeah,
happened?
because all the hotels were booked.
I
I
see.
couldn't find a reasonable place at the last minute.
Ah, okay. Makes sense.
And I was just like, okay, this is becoming a little bit stressful, and I'm just like, let's just plan it out properly next year.
Okay, makes sense.
And Actually, my original plan was that we could have gone to Fukuoka
Mm-hmm.
and spent New Year's there. But then my
Oh,
friend
okay,
was
okay.
like, he did that last year and he did not
Mm-hmm.
like it at all. He said it was
Why?
pretty boring. Then again,
Oh,
my friend,
really?
yeah.
Oh, your friend is Japanese or?
No, he's American. He's American.
Oh, but he's been here for a while, right?
No, he's been here for around a little bit longer than me, but like, yeah, almost 2 years. Not that
Okay,
long.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. And wait, what's your plan?
So I'll be. So I go back to Osaka on the 18th, and just man, being a father because my wife doesn't stop working until I believe the 24th of December.
So Yumiko is working.
Yeah, she's working right now as we speak. Yeah.
Because last time you said she was in training, right?
Yeah. So her training ended last week on Friday, and now she started official work on Monday of this week.
And she's programming?
Kind of. I'm not really sure what she does. Something to do with IT. That's all I know. I'm not really sure. Man, I don't understand those things, man.
You don't want to ask?
I did study. I mean, I asked, but the explanation she gave me was so cryptic. I was like, okay, that's good enough. Whatever you said is good enough.
Sounds to me like you didn't give a fuck at the moment. It's like, whatever. She gave you like a basic answer and you're like, okay, whatever. That works for me.
Yeah, basically.
Obviously,
I mean,
my field being IT, I would love to know what she does. I'm just curious.
So, I'm glad she has a job. I'm glad she does enjoy her job. That's good enough for me. Whatever she does at her job is not as important as her enjoying what she does,
So does she enjoy the job? That's the next question, actually.
Yeah, so far so good. She told me so she was in Tokyo for training, and I assumed because she was in training alone, she was far away from me and Raha, our daughter. I thought it was gonna be really miserable, but she told me she enjoyed the training. And this week, the only challenge has been like dropping Raha at school and picking her up after school because she finishes work a bit late. So that's the only challenge she's going through this week. But other than that, she says the job is pretty simple, pretty tame. She's enjoying this little challenges she's getting daily. So I guess she's happy. She likes the job.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So you guys aren't using the car to pick up Raha, obviously, right?
No, the car is here in Saga. Actually, we're planning on selling the car because moving in Osaka, we don't need to have a car.
You just need the train. Like using the train is very convenient, right? It makes more sense.
The train is very convenient, and having a bike is even more convenient in Osaka.
Okay. All right, that
Yeah.
sounds nice.
Yeah.
So wait, actually having a car, if I remember correctly, having a car in Tokyo, I was talking about it back in the day. I was like, having a car would actually be a disadvantage. Like it would be annoying and stressful rather than.
Yeah. Actually, owning a car in a city is very expensive. So where I live right now in Saga, right? So in Japan, if you live wherever you live, you have to pay for parking, right?
What do you mean you have to pay for parking? Okay, so you have to pay for parking when you're in the city. That makes sense.
No. Even if you live in an apartment complex, you have to pay for the parking space the real estate agent gives you, right? It's not free.
That's insane. So
Yeah.
it makes sense when you apply the context, obviously, of like, the idea of space in cities in Japan is it's a very precious resource, right? So they're trying to maximize on every little like inch that they have, each building has. And it's like, hey, if you're putting your car in our space, man, you gotta pay up, right?
Yeah. But even here in Saga, so the thing is, like, out in the country, in Saga, for instance, it's very cheap to park your car. So right now, for our parking space here, we pay 3,000 yen, so that's around $30.
That's so crazy, though. I didn't expect it to be that expensive. Wait, you pay 3,000 how much? Like
3,000 per month.
Per month. Okay, per month is okay. Okay.
Yeah, and so in Osaka City, for the same parking space, we would pay 30,000, so $300 per month for parking.
Okay, now that's the part. 30,000. What? Okay.
Yes.
Can you imagine knowing where we're coming from, dude? Can you imagine doing something like that in Kenya, where people can just park where, like, okay, for people who don't know, people in Kenya park almost wherever the hell they want, you know.
Bro, it's crazy how people can
Especially
do.
outside of like the main roads in the city, it's
Yeah,
it's a free for all. No, no
exactly.
one cares.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh
obviously, you
man.
can imagine the situations and problems that arise from
Yeah,
having no one really like oversee that. So, and that's
yeah.
why
So
it's crazy to hear that.
and on top of that, so in Japan, I don't know about other countries, but I know in Kenya this doesn't happen. At least the last time I was there, it wasn't happening. That so in Japan, you have to pay for car tax. If you have a car, you have to pay tax for owning a car.
That is also really, really weird, man. Like,
Yeah, and like the tax, the amount you're paying depends on the size of the engine of your car.
so the idea here is like you tax things in an ideal society, right? You tax things to disincentivize people from specific behaviors, right? For example, if you don't want people to smoke, for example, just put taxes on tobacco imports or something like that, right? Or put taxes on cigarette products or tobacco products, and suddenly you'll see that people are paying less or buying those products less, right? Because no one wants to. No one likes taxes. That's just a fact, right? So when they put a tax on cars, they're telling me, the message I can read from that is that they're saying the Japanese government is like, hey, use other forms of transport, you know.
Yeah, and like going back to the idea of in Japan, at least in the cities, it does make sense because you have the subway system, you have efficient buses. But now in the countryside, like in Saga, for instance, in my train station, there's literally one train after every 30 minutes. So you need a car here. And the buses are not efficient here. You know, there are very few buses. And everything is so far away from everything else.
Yeah, it's less dense. I was gonna say that. There's less density. Like, if you take like a small, I don't know, corner in Osaka compared to a corner in Saga, in Osaka there's like, you can find 10 shops in like a corner, right?
Like this, like you've come to Saga and we've gone from my long 3-hour walk, right?
It's like that. It reminds me of the outskirts of Nairobi, actually.
Yeah, so like walking in Saga for 3 hours, your view barely changes. The view doesn't change, right? 3 hours of walking and you're still seeing the same thing, right? But in Osaka, I'd walk for 10 minutes and I'd see so many different things.
Yep. Osaka, man. Osaka, especially even like Osaka and Tokyo, man, they squeeze so much.
Exactly.
They squeeze so much in such tiny spaces, man.
Yeah.
It's actually really crazy.
So definitely no car in Osaka. I'm planning to sell it or even just give it away before I leave.
But I guess we should also touch on the whole, you said depending on the engine too, right? So I'm assuming that's also like a green incentive. They're trying to be more green and environmental friendly.
I don't know if that's the reason. I don't know if that's the reason because so in Japan there's something called K cars, like my Daihatsu Tanto. That a K car is a car whose engine capacity is 660 cc's. So that's a very small engine, no power at all in that engine. It's basically a car for just going shopping, you know? It's not a car you travel with.
Is it electric? It's not electric, right?
No, it's not electric. It's just it's fuel, man. It's gas.
Okay.
Yeah,
you sounded a bit offended when I asked that.
No, I know. It's just like it's a simple car, you know. It's a small. You've been in my car. It's a small, simple.
It's
car,
a family car. It's a small family car.
Yeah. But it's not a car you'll drive for 3 hours, you know.
I think it's crazy that you have to pay tax on all cars, though.
Yeah.
I think that's that's definitely very unique. But I have to ask, Oscar, how are you? How are you doing? Moving away from the cars.
Man, like, here's the like I'm always going back to that topic of loneliness, man. And I swear to you, like, just as soon as I got back home on Sunday nights, the feeling came back, whereby again I'm alone. Of course, not for a long time. It's just 3 weeks, but still, there is that banging in my mind. Like I'm alone in this apartment. I'm alone in this apartment. I mean, maybe I'm just not the kind of person who can deal with being alone.
Have you
Maybe I have
drank
some.
or smoked since you
I
came?
mean, I smoke cigarettes. I haven't drunk since I came though. Just smoking cigarettes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's it. But I mean, my schedule. Okay, so since I came back, I haven't been very organized. But as of last night, I chose to change that. Like I sent you the screenshots. Last night I got home and I was thinking I'm just gonna watch something and sleep. Since we were supposed to record last night, but you were like, you can't do it because you're talking to your family, right?
Yeah. I was actually waiting
Yeah.
for you, but then when it reached like 11:30, I was tired, and then my
Yeah,
mom called.
because
I
I
was just like,
reached home
yeah,
at 11:30 as well. So when I saw your message, I was like, okay, let me watch something and sleep. But then I thought like, hey, I haven't gone running in a while. It's been 2 weeks since I went running. I was like, let me. So initially I was like, let me just go and run like 3K, a short 3K, and come back. At least I've done something. But when I started running, I was like, let me not do 3K. Let me like take a detour that will force me to do a 10K. So I took a detour, knowing full well taking that detour means I can't stop running until I get back home.
yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up doing a 10K. Of course, it was a slow 10K, but still, I felt good after that. Got back home, cleaned the house a bit, organized some clothes that were like scattered in my bedroom. Then I slept. So yesterday was, I think, a step in the right direction. Let me say that.
It definitely sounds like a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
For me, like today was the first day in a while that I woke up early again and worked out. For the longest time, like the past, like I think month at least, I've been missing out workouts, and I have been waking up late, which is what I was trying to fix. I was trying to fix a routine and say like, hey, I wake up every day at like 7 or 8, and it was working for a while, and it felt really, really good actually. Then stuff in Peppy happens, and then stuff in your own life, and then you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna go drink, and before you know it, you messed up your whatever semblance of a routine you had is just like gone. And then I stopped working out too, so then I started losing momentum there, and I was just like, oh, that's the whole 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing,
Like I told you last week, like I went a little over 2 weeks with no drinking, right?
Yeah.
And I realized like whatever negative energy you have in you is only exacerbated by alcohol, right? Like if you have a bad day at work and you drink because you want to get rid of the negative sensations or the negative emotions you're having, you'll feel good for an hour, 2 hours, but once you wake up the next morning, whatever little emotional disturbance for the previous night is heightened tenfold when you wake up the next morning. Because of the hangover, right? Or just because of the alcohol in your system, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, 100%. But then like me going 2 weeks not touching alcohol, the negativity I felt was just like, it was like a small whisper in the wind, I could barely hear it. It was there, it was still there, but I couldn't focus on it the way I did before when I was drinking constantly.
But also you've removed the... Before when you were drinking, you were alone. That's the difference.
Yes.
Those are 2 different situations. It's Oscar with his family versus Oscar drinking with his family and Oscar drinking when he's alone. Those instances surely will create different outcomes, right?
Yeah, but also, when I was in Osaka, I didn't drink. I just didn't drink. Not with my family, not with anyone. I didn't drink, right?
Right.
So maybe, and also it was easy for me to do that because I was solely responsible for her. It was no one else was taking care of her. It was just me. I had to feed her, bathe her, take her to school, pick her up from school. Prepare her food, everything, right?
Right.
So I knew I had no chance to drink, and even if I had the opportunity, I couldn't drink, because what if I drink at night and she wakes up crying and I'm kind of like, I'm too groggy to feed her in the middle of the night because I'm drunk. I was like, okay, I can't drink. I just can't drink.
So we can say that the importance of taking raha took precedence over drinking. Your need to drink.
Yes. For sure. It was very easy. I didn't even have to think about it. It was easy. I knew what I had to do.
So it wasn't even a choice, is what you're saying too.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't even a choice. I didn't even think about it.
Hey, Oscar, you're growing, huh? Okay. I like that. I like that. You can see you're becoming a father. All right. I still remember when you were just a boy in the softball field in USIU.
Man, USIU softball. I miss those days, man.
Talking about how you're going to like bang this chick, bang that chick.
Oh man,
trying to be a little player.
No, I wasn't trying to be a player, man. I was a simple guy.
No, you weren't trying to be a player. You are just a monster. You know.
I wasn't a monster. I was a simple
You
guy.
were a monster. What are you talking about?
Just softball. And, keeping my GPA high. I was a good boy.
Good boy. Oh god. All right. You know what? That's actually what I wanted to talk about. We could talk about USIU. A little bit. Again, in the last episode we mentioned this, but like USIU is the United States International University, which is based in Nairobi, and it's one of the most prestigious universities in East Africa, maybe in the whole of Africa. Actually, it's somewhere up there. Maybe in the whole of Africa. I'm not too sure about that. I just know it's a pretty popular East African university. That I know for a fact. And we went there at the age of what? 16?
16, yeah.
Wait, why did you join at when you were 16, by the way? I forgot.
Why? Because what happened is when I finished high school, I actually didn't want to go to university. So my mother was like, Oscar, you must go. So my father wanted me to study law, right? So he gave me the application documents for one university called Nazarene University. And I was supposed to apply to that school and go and study law. But my cousin, who was a former student of USIU, told me that if I go to USIU and I get a high GPA, I can go to Japan. So I went and I told my father, I liked my father. I told my father, yes, I applied for law in Nazarene University, but they didn't accept me. However, what happened is I just took those application papers, tore them up and threw them away, and applied for USIU.
So from the longest time before, Japan was always in your aim. It was what your focus was.
Yeah, because I discovered anime when I was around maybe 13 or 14, right? And I always had this image of my head of going to live in Japan to see what that culture is all about. Who are these people who came up with anime?
And it was so mysterious back then, right? Even when we were in USA, it was like a mysterious thing, going to Japan,
Exactly.
Having Nakamura. Nakamura was our Japanese teacher, and he was native Japanese. So having him there telling us, Japan has all these good stuff going for it and stuff like that,
Yeah, but it's now like looking back, it's like, okay, if Japan is so great, why are you in Kenya?
We never asked him that, but he never really lied about it too, right? He would squeeze in few stories here and there that would kind of explain his perspective. He's like, in Kenya specifically, I think it's when we took the trip and we came back, he was just like, I live in Kenya because I think the people are better and stuff like that. He told me straight up, he says he likes the social element. He finds Kenyan people warm. He likes how warm they are and stuff like that. So I think it's maybe we never asked the right question.
Yeah, we never did. We were kids, man. When we first met Nakamura, we were 16, right? Or 16 or 17.
No, actually, I think I met Nakamura like a year in. I might have been 17 or 18.
Yes, same with me, because that's, probably. So
I saw him, but I never talked to him.
Same with me. I even had his name, right? But I never went to check him out. Who's this guy? Who's the Japanese guy in the school?
Yeah.
And so we were kids. We knew nothing. We were just interested in Japan and Japanese girls and anime.
It's funny. You were right. It was such a simpler time back then.
Man, it was so simple. everything was so straightforward. We didn't have to think about anything. We
I-
had our schedules in front of us. We knew where to go and eat. So we knew what time to have our classes. We had money that we needed for the week to survive. Everything was right there. We didn't have to think about anything.
hey. And I was like, hey. There were times I was just a complete degenerate.
All of us.
Okay, so you know what's really funny? You have the story about you almost becoming a lawyer. There's definitely a parallel universe in which you became a lawyer. That's funny.
Yeah.
There's also a story I have where it's like Japanese wasn't my first choice when it came to languages that you have to do, you know? So in USIU, you have to take one language course, right? And so actually it's two, right? It's two language courses. You have to take like the basic and advanced. Basic and like intermediate, something like that, right?
Intermediate, yeah.
And my first choice was actually Spanish. But now, Spanish is the most popular language in USIU. So
there was no space available.
Yeah. And you know what? I did it because one of my friends said, "Hey, man, my class has all of the hot chicks. You know, if you apply now, you can still get in." And I applied late. Me being a lazy person, I was even till now. But point is, I was lazy and I applied late, and I had to look, and all that was left was French, Mandarin, and Japanese. And I was just like, I've done French for 13 years. There's no way I'm doing that. That's out of the question. So now it's Japanese and Mandarin. And then I was just like, you know, Mandarin, I considered it for a second, but then it was just like, I thought of Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball, and I was just like, you know what? It's fine. Japanese. Let's go Japanese all the way. So there's a world in which I didn't take Japanese. And if I didn't take Japanese, Oscar, I wouldn't have met you. I probably wouldn't even be in the Japanese club. I wouldn't have met all of you guys, you know?
Yeah. Man, such simple times, man. Jesus.
You know, I think it's crazy. There's a world in which, like, literally me just not taking that one course, Japanese as a language course, would have just completely changed my entire, like, friend circles and the, like, trajectory I had in the next, like, 2 years at the very least. My friend circles would have been different. I never would have met you. It would have been so insane. Just one course. Through that one course, I met, like, again, there was a Japanese club, and then the Japanese club had, like, alumni, people who had already taken the Japanese language courses, and they knew Nakamura. Yeah. So, like, everyone knew each other. So just by taking the Japanese course, I opened that door for me to meet all these other kinds of people, you know? And lots of these people, like, I considered, like, really good friends, you know? People who I really enjoyed working and being around with.
My first girlfriend through links through the Japanese alumni, right?
So even you, right? So imagine if you ended up becoming a lawyer.
Yeah, imagine. Yeah.
It would have just been so different, right?
Throw away those application papers, you know. I'm glad I burned those application papers, you know, I threw them away.
Or for you, maybe something like not taking the Japanese language too. You'd have ended up in
No. Like, I'm telling you, the reason I went to USIU was specifically to come to Japan. I knew that. So going to USIU, there was no way I was not going to take Japanese. I must have taken Japanese. That was not an option for me. Like, let me tell you, like, here's the thing with me, right? I think I've told you this story before, whereby my only purpose of going to not to USIU, to university, was so that I could be able to come to Japan. That was my only purpose.
I think you're amazing to have such a focus at that age and to, like...
It wasn't a focus, it was almost an obsession, because I knew what I had to do. I knew I had to maintain a high GPA.
Right.
I knew I had to be active in the USIU social circles, right? So that means, number one, I maintained my GPA of almost 4.0 for 2 years straight. I was the chairman of the Japanese club. I was the captain of the softball team. I was organizing events for Japanese club. I was doing all these things because I knew what I have to do. It was that simple for me.
And I was just riding the wave, you know, in the background.
Yeah. And for me, once I got into Japan, I stopped caring about school completely. I totally stopped caring. Like, I've made it. Now I'm done. And I swear, like, if you look at my grades for the university I was in Japan, there were 2 semesters, right? In my first semesters, I got B's and C's, right?
All right.
In my second semester, it was all F's. All F's.
Ah, that's where the drinking came?
No, it wasn't drink. I was in Japan. I don't care about school anymore. I don't care about school anymore. I'm here.
Jesus. Like you
I
just
totally stopped caring. Like
little
literally,
taste and you're just like, fuck it. I don't care anymore.
yeah,
I'm done.
exactly.
I'm done.
Like the way someone says, okay, so the problem with rich people is that when they make money, they never get satisfied with how much money they have. I'll probably be different. I'll say, okay, I want $10 billion. Then I'm done now. I don't give a fuck anymore. That was me. That was me when I was in Japan. As soon as I got here, I stopped caring. Like, I'm done. I've made it. I don't care anymore.
Oh, dude, that sounds wonderful. I remember that time because I envied you.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to come to Japan too.
Mm-hmm.
This was like second year, third year. But I realized I don't have a GPA to do it. I had a 2.7, 2.6 around there.
Yeah.
It's like I need at least a 3, right? And it's like, am I going to like?
3.2.
Yeah, it was 3 or 3.2, something like that. No, I think it says 3.2, but the person I was talking to was telling me, hey, I can make it work. You have to at least have a 3, before we can even have this conversation. And I was like, okay, I can make this. I was doing the math. Maybe if I take an extra year, then I was just realizing, am I going to actually take an extra year? So I do, instead of a 4-year course, I'll have a 5-year course just to go to Japan. And in Japan, like, those credits, will they be transferable? I don't know. Like, there was all these things, and I was just like, is it really going to be worth it? And it was just like, hey, why don't I just take the culture trip, which is what we had in our Japanese minor, and then if I still want to go, I can decide after, right? And actually, it was in that culture trip, right, which was, again, that was in 2014, right? Can you imagine? I'm still talking to one of those girls till today. She literally, the minute I updated my profile picture on Facebook, she messaged me and she was just like, "Isashiburi," and she was like, and she was asking me if how have I been. She thought I had died and stuff like that, in a joking manner, obviously, because we used to like make a lot of jokes about each other. And I was just like, oh, this is a person who actually I enjoyed talking with back in the day. And again, that person is the person I met the first time I came to Japan. So anyway, point is, when I first came to Japan, that's when I decided this place is where I have to come again. Like, this place is the end game in my mind. That's what I was thinking. I was just like, let me just finish what I have in Kenya and stuff like that. But here, Japan, this is the goal. This is where it's all going to be. This is where it's going to all end, right here. And when I went back to USIU, so partly because of Japan and raising my GPA, but also because I started taking more opportunities in front of me. I went to a place called iHub, right? And let me tell you, I told you, right? iHub completely changed who I was as a person at the time.
Also.
Going to iHub, right? And just like, I started becoming more self-aware. Maybe it's because of the age thing. I was like 20 or 21, right? No. 20 is when I finished university. So I was like 19, around 19 or 20, right? And being in that environment, so it's a co-working. So iHub is a co-working space, and it's an incubator. You have a bunch of startups who have these insane ideas, right? Like, there was one idea of a guy who wanted to. So you have these companies that are like cashing off of your medical data and selling it out to pharmaceutical companies. It's like, hey, why don't you give us the medical data? We will bind it to a cryptocurrency, and then we will sell that cryptocurrency to the pharmaceutical companies and stuff like that. And you will make royalties based on your medical data whenever it's used in research. Ideas like that. And the age of 20, and I'm just like, I am a joker. Look at these people. These people aren't that old. These are like 26-year-olds, 27-year-olds who are having ideas like this, On an average table, because it's a co-working space, I would sit down. Like, let's say I'm trying to do some design work, because that's when I started designing, right? I was sitting next to a lawyer, a data scientist was in front of me, and I have a DevOps, a front-end developer, on the other side of the corner. And they're all talking about politics. And again, just being in an environment like that, just showing how tiny my world was. And I was just like, hey, my time in
Man,
USIU. Just,
like
yeah.
that's what happens, right? I mean, that's what we lack in Japan, right? Going back to the idea of starting like a foreigners organization, because the thing is, like, whatever ideas you and I might have in Japan right now is only a consequence of the people who have been able to interact with, right?
Yep.
But Japan being as lonely as it is, it's very hard for you to interact with people who can help you develop ideas that can help you in the future.
I think it's because we have that. It's like you're at zero, right? When you're at zero, it's hard. Zero is a very hard place to be because you have nothing, like absolutely nothing. I'll like an analogy is like if you have absolutely nothing in a society, like you're completely poor, right?
I mean, going back to the Bible, and those who have nothing, more will be taken from them.
Yes. So this zero thing, like in a society, would be like you don't have a house, you don't even have clothes. If you don't even have clothes, Oscar, who wants to talk to you?
No one.
If you can't even take a shower, who will actually approach you? No one. So you're like at zero. Like actually, it's so hard to like make something out of nothing. Actually, some people would say it's impossible, right? You can't make something out of nothing. You need something. Even if you have like a house and the house is like you have 10 kids in the house and stuff like that, and you're born in that family, it's like, hey man, it's gonna be it's obviously gonna be an extremely hard life, but you have something. There's a starting place, right? It's not at zero. But when you have absolutely nothing, man, it's like whoa. So like in Japan, socially, there's people who have nothing. Like, where do you even start?
I mean, so with this idea for the number one, I want to say thank you to my father. He listened to the last podcast and he sent us some really good information on like similar groups from back in Kenya.
Yes. Your father did some. Those are some amazing papers that he sent. Actually,
Yeah,
they're really detailed too. I don't know how much you read of them.
I read both of them, very detailed, very very detailed.
I haven't read the second one. I've only read the first one.
Yeah, so I think like we're gonna use that as a framework to do what we want to do here in Japan, because so when I was in Osaka, I talked to my Korean friend, my buddy, about this idea, and so he's doing business, right? He's selling Korean cosmetics online, and he tells me per month from just selling the cosmetics he's making around 60,000. That's a lot of money. So he's making $600 a month from selling cosmetics online. He doesn't keep stock. He just buys online and sells online, right?
Which is really good.
Yeah, so like talking to him, he was explaining the business to me, and he showed me how simple it is to do that business. That anyone can do that. It's not so much money. It's 60,000 yen, but that's money you can pay your rent with, you know.
You're so right. Actually, imagine just having a tiny little side gig where it's like that's paying rent. That frees you up financially for so many other things that you
could
put. Yeah.
So now imagine really if I didn't know this Korean guy and I didn't know that he was doing such a business, this idea of doing online business would never come into my head. At least the idea of selling cosmetics online will never come into my head. But now talking to him about it, I'm thinking, hey, when I go back to Osaka, I might sit down with him and try to do this with him, or ask him to teach me how to do it on my own, right?
So your social network, the people in your social network, that's a resource too. Exactly. How many people can help you?
Yeah, and now going back to the organization, like if such people are part of this organization we want to start, how much can this organization do if each individual is bringing 60,000 of their own side hustles, and everyone is investing like 10,000 into the organization per month, and the organization is also investing in various businesses.
Is it an organization or like a foundation? Is what I was thinking about.
Oh, I'm just using that organization. I don't really know. I'm just using that word for now.
Yeah, and anyways, my question's a little bit like neither here or there. Continue. Sorry.
So if we can all do that, we have like as many people as possible who are willing to try their hand at business, and whatever money you make, you put in something small into the group, and the group helps you out when you're stuck. Because of course, like Corona happens again, another pandemic comes, and you've lost your job. This organization is there to support you where it can, right? You and I were lucky because when the pandemic first struck, we did not lose our jobs. And even though our pay was cut, it was only cut by what, 30%? It was nothing. We really feel it, right?
30% for staying at home.
Exactly. We got 70% of our income for just staying at home. Just staying at home.
Right.
Which is, I know there are people in my company, there were some coworkers who are complaining, like, oh, they should give us all the money. Why should they give us all the money? We are doing nothing. We are doing absolutely nothing. Even 70%, that's amazing. Thank you. I actually contacted my boss, like the head of human resources, just tell him thank you for that. Like, that was wonderful.
Yeah. I was seeing even like my supervisor was telling me about people complaining in the company. So the company's trying to make it as comfortable as possible for people. And I'm just like, hey, us being paid and not having to go to work is a dream. It's a fucking dream.
For a whole month, we stayed at home and they paid us. Actually, a month and a half, right?
Yeah.
We just home and they paid us.
And being as grateful as we were at the time, it was also, remember how nervous it was, because it was just like, we knew, and we talked about it too, the company just can't keep doing this, you know?
It can't. It's not possible. It's not possible.
Even with the 100K that the government gave everyone, or 300K, depending, I don't know, depending on how many family members you had, right? But like 100K for single foreigners, I got 100K, right?
Yeah.
That's not enough. So there was like, if that lockdown prolonged longer than 2 months, I was like, okay, Pepe might actually start like cutting people off, you know?
Of course.
And
they're a business. They can't survive. They can't just pay you and nothing is happening. No income is coming in. Sorry, no business is coming in, but they're throwing all their money out to pay people who are doing nothing.
And at that point, it's more of like, hey, look, if it's a giant tree, the company is a giant tree, we need to cut off the branches, you know, the infected branches, so that the root isn't affected. Because if you have the root of the tree, then you can always grow again, right? You can always graft it, regrow again, whatever, right? So get rid of all the branches that are like affecting the tree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's this organization. We won't do that, right? We want to do that because next time, who knows? Next time it might, whatever comes next might be worse than Corona, right? And now we'll definitely be out of a job, and we don't have those side hustles. We don't have a foundation organization to help us out. That means you and I, Jason, we're going back home. We're going back home, bro.
No. I will clean. I will clean bathrooms in Japan before I go back home.
No. With me. Like, yeah, I'm not going back that easily, man. I'm not going back that easily. I'll fight before I have to go back that easily.
I think the government will have to deport me. that's the point I'm reaching. It's almost every day I think about it more and more. It's just like, I don't think I can go back home. Like that feeling or that idea becomes stronger every single day. And I love Kenya. Like, I actually do genuinely love my friends, my family. I miss certain aspects of our culture. I miss how crazy Kenyans could be, how warming, how fun and kind. But Japan, man, I'm living like a king here. So it's just like, hey, I can't.
I'm not willing to go back.
I told you this, like, I took every metric of my life, every measurable metric, and in Japan, everything is just objectively better. Everything, literally everything.
So I only miss one thing about Kenya. To be fair, for me, I only miss one thing. Just my family and my friends.
Yes. If you minus our social networks and the people we grew up with, and also even the socializing aspect, Kenya is better than that. Obviously, you can create friends, you can meet people and create like deeper relationships in Kenya. Obviously, and there's no language barrier. There's that too. But if you just put all of that aside, everything else
is much better here.
Better. So it's just like, how do I go back? You know, there's nothing for me to go back to.
Same with me. There's nothing for me to go back to. There's nothing. I'm like, Jason, right now my roots are so deep in Japan. It's like, why would I even consider going back? I have a kid here. I have a kid and a wife here. Why would I consider going back?
Yeah, for you, it's actually worse. I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, for you, you have a family here. You literally, it's not a possibility for you.
Yeah.
Also, you're a citizen. You have citizenship.
No, I don't have a citizenship. No, I don't. I don't.
What else do you need? You're married
Uh,
to a native Japanese
no,
person.
no. So like, I'll get my permanent visa very soon, but I'm not citizenship. No citizenship.
Minimum of 5 years. There was that too.
For citizenship,
Yeah, I remember reading it like a few months
5
ago.
years.
Something
But
like
no, but
that.
here's the thing. Here's the thing with Japan, right? To be a citizen of Japan, you have to change your name. You can't just be Jason Musao, citizen of
Ah,
Japan.
sorry,
You have
sorry,
to,
sorry. You have residence, is what I meant.
yeah, permanent residency.
Mm-mm.
So when it's like 3 years after of being married to a Japanese, you
3 years? That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
My supervisor got residency like last year, and he
Oh,
was
okay.
telling me about it too.
Uh-huh.
Damn, 3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, being a citizen, I heard that you have to get like a letter from some minister, and I was just like, I stopped reading after that. It change your name. No. I'm just happy being allowed to live here. That's all I really want. I don't want the stress of like being told, "What are you doing here? Huh? Show me your passport." It's just like, bitch, I have residency. Stop disturbing me. That's it. That's all I'm looking for.
Oh, okay.
So, what? So, okay, I want to go back to the iHub thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
iHub changed who I was and the outlook I had of the people around me and opportunities. From that point onwards, I started seeing USIU because after I was very much a person who was casting stones. Yet I was sitting on a bundle of like a mountain of my own problems at the time. And I was being so hypocritical because I was just like, oh, USIU has these problems, USIU has this problem and this problem, and it's just like, hey man, if you're so like annoyed or adamant about finding all of these problems, why don't you solve some of these problems, right? And I don't know why I was so cynical at the time about everything, I guess it's just a youth thing, you want to break the system up, you want to shake things up and stuff like that. But like I never like actually took a step forward to actually do something about it. Maybe towards the end I started trying. It was more of like, hey, or at least I realized, hey, this is a very complicated issue. Like there were so many problems in USA. I don't know if you remember, even just in the IT department alone, it was like there's so much red tape whenever you want to do something.
Yes.
One of my lecturers wanted to create a talk in which alumni come back and try to like not educate, but just tell some of the younger students, right, people in first years and second years, what it's like to be out there, And this was slightly after I graduated, and I thought like, oh, that's an amazing thing. I want to be a part of it. And even getting something like that was a problem. Imagine. Yeah, getting something like that off the ground was a problem. And I had to, I don't remember the details, but I remember there was a little bit of a headache, even for like, even with the lecturer. So, and it didn't even happen in the end. And like that, I felt like that was like a small schism of what society is really like when you like open it up, because it's like there's always going to be these issues that are so complicated that you can talk about. Me and you can talk about like the problems of society for like days and stuff like that, right? But a lot of these problems are so complicated and they have so many moving parts that it's almost impossible for us to come up with like solutions by ourselves, and we're not even good enough at it to really like identify the problem and solve it on our own. So it's like, hey, can you fix something, a simple problem first, and then work your way up, and in that way you can sort of like gain competence, if that makes sense. You can learn competence and you can get better at it.
Yeah, so like here's the thing. There's no way we can solve any problems in the world, man, when we can't even deal with problems in our personal lives.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, especially in youth, it's so easy to even not even youth, even to this point of our lives, right? It's so easy to look out at the world and say that I see the problems, and fuck those people who are causing the problems, right? But it's harder to look internally at ourselves and say that I have this problem, and I need to find a way to deal with this problem now before I start speaking of other problems outside. You know, what's the thing from the Bible? Like, don't speak of the speck in your brother's eye when you have a log in your eye, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it basically. But it's so easy to see the speck in someone's eye because you're looking out.
And
You
you don't have
always
a
look out.
mirror to look at yourself all the time, right?
Exactly. So I remember, like, I think in USIU, you and I, you introduced me to the documentary that changed our lives, Zeitgeist.
Ah, the
You know, it's like,
Zeitgeist was just the film. The film.
there
Do
was
you want to try
there was
explaining
Oscar,
what
there was
Zeitgeist
Oscar
was?
before Zeitgeist and Oscar after Zeitgeist. You know?
You want to try explaining Zeitgeist to people who don't know about it? Because now it's
Man,
been almost forgotten, I think.
Zeitgeist is a documentary about three things. Number one, the conspiracy of the 9/11 attack on American soil, the financial system, the central banking financial system, and religion, especially Christianity.
Which
So
is, I think, because Christianity has it's one of the cornerstones of like Western civilization. That's why.
Yes. And that documentary, it totally changed my mind. I remember, like, literally, there was Oscar an hour before watching Zeitgeist and Oscar immediately after Zeitgeist ended. Two different people.
So,
Yeah.
what did it change exactly in your mind? What did you?
I couldn't trust.
Yeah.
I couldn't trust anything anymore. I felt like I couldn't trust anything the news tells me. I couldn't trust anything about any wars. I couldn't trust anything here from American media. I couldn't just enjoy life anymore. I couldn't just enjoy life because I started to overanalyze everything. Like, what if they're lying? Why are my parents going to church? Don't they know? Don't they know it's all bullshit? You know, I started overanalyzing everything. I couldn't just let things go.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. How about you? What changed for you?
It was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Zeitgeist, at first, I believed a lot of things the documentary was saying.
Mm-hmm.
But then looking up who created the documentary and looking up like its reception, I questioned not only the ideas they told me to question, but I started questioning the movie itself too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, is this film also trying to push its own agenda? And like you said, it basically gave me that framework of critical thinking. Because up until that point, it came at that right age for us, 18. It was like 18, 17. When we were starting to like gain our adult consciousness, you're becoming awake. At least that's the kind of like visualization I want to say. You're becoming awake, We're coming into our own selves as men, and we're gonna start walking the path of our own journeys. I mean, hopefully becoming people that we respect or people that we want to become, So that being said, it's like that film was like a very, very important mark in my life, for sure. Actually, yeah, definitely my entire life. I can't even say otherwise.
Yeah, same for me. It totally changed everything. It totally changed everything for me. And I remember when you first went to give me the documentary, I was like, nah. I remember my first response when I asked you to give me like a movie to watch, and you told me you have this documentary. In my head, I was like, I don't want to watch a documentary, man. I just want to watch a movie.
Right.
And like, even when I was watching it, I wasn't watching it out of curiosity or interest, just because I had nothing else to do. Like, let me just take it out. Let me see what it has to say.
There was a lot of questionable things, but the Zeitgeist had 3 films, right? So I remember, I don't remember the first one. The first one was the one that was most debated.
Mm-hmm.
The second one also had problems. The third one was the most like accepted one, because they brought a lot of like experts, and they started using it's also like the longest one too, right? It was like 2 hours and 30 minutes. It was ridiculous, but there was a lot more explanation around what they were, what arguments they were putting forward and the solutions. There was a lot more details in that.
So
in the third film.
Part 3 was more about solutions than complaints.
Yes.
Yeah. And they talked so much about this thing called the Venus Project. Do you remember that thing? The Venus Project?
Is it dead?
I don't even actually. Let me look it up. The Venus Project. Jesus Christ. Oh, it's still there. I think still there. The website is up.
Jacques Fresco. Is he still alive? Yeah, I wanted to meet him.
Jacques Fresco. Jacques Fresco. He died in 2017.
Yeah, no, he was like 90 something.
No, 101. 101.
He was 101?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. Born in 1916. Died in 2017.
Oh, he was born in 1916? Yep. That is so insane, dude. Like, in the film, when you're watching, the way he talks, he was kind of youthful, youthful enough to make you think, like, this guy he's old, but he's like 80s, 90s, right? He still has like 20 years or something. He could survive.
This is the website for the Venus Project. The Venus Project, Beyond Politics, Poverty and War. The Venus Project is a non-profit organization that presents a new socio-economic model utilizing science and technology toward social betterment to achieve a sustainable civilization of abundance for all without exception. It's pretty much saying nothing.
So throughout the 2010, Fresco traveled with Meadows. Meadows is the woman. She was like a caretaker to him, but also it seemed like they were also in love. They were partners for sure. I don't know. It was something weird. Anyway, point is, it was made famous because of Zeitgeist. And then it sort of died out.
It died out? The project is done?
Like, I don't see much talk about it. So
yeah, I mean,
the Venus
quiet. It's like, I mean, in episode 1 we talked about the thing Akon is doing, Akon City or something. No one really knows what that is, but it's happening, I guess, right?
Oh, there's a YouTube channel, and there's an agenda, 2020.
Yeah, so it's still going on. It's just like under the radar. I mean, because now we're talking about Trump not getting out of the White House, so of course no one cares about the Venus Project right now.
Right.
Yeah.
But Jacques Fresco had a very interesting idea, the idea of a resource-based economy, which I had only seen in sci-fi shows, movies, so like sci-fi fiction. So him talking about it was just like, hey, I've seen this before, but it's not something I've ever seen that has been brought to life. And then he talks about how we could possibly do it and stuff like that, and I was just like, this man is amazing. Just for this idea alone, like coming up with such an idea like this, it would be such a huge step away from the money-based economy that we have right now, and capitalism in general. It would be like totally different. It would be like if you were raised as what? You were raised as a Buddhist in China or something, and then you were just dropped in USA and you were forced to become a Christian or something like that. Just to give you an example of how extreme the cultural differences and like how extreme the differences are in general, in an analogy. That's how it is. It's just like totally different economies and totally different systems that you would need. Even the population, man, I don't know if people will be able to move away from capitalism. I don't know if people will want to let it go, because it's all we ever have known, right?
I think it's too hard to just leave it right now. It's not easy.
It's capitalist. Capitalism's a beast, man. Like, I don't know how you slay this beast and tell us to walk away from it.
Man, anyway, don't talk about that because it's too big for me. I don't want to talk about that right now.
Yeah, it is. That's a whole other subject on its own. That's a whole other talk. But Jacques Fresco was amazing. So basically, even though, like, again, the Venus Project might have its problems, I respected it for what it was. A guy trying to present a solution to a very, very complicated problem, And I'm just like, just him trying to put a solution out there. That is already
Mm.
extremely courageous.
Yeah,
And the guy had worked decades on this. He even said it in the documentary, or he said it somewhere, It's like he's worked a large portion of his later life on this, And it's just like, hey man, can I do something like that? I don't know. So even if I had lots of respect for him.
I agree. Same with me.
So Zeitgeist, and then from Zeitgeist it was just like the experiences. Can you just to wrap up, because we're actually at the 1 hour mark, can you give me the top 3 experiences that formed you as a person in no particular order?
What you mean, like when now or back then?
Now that made Oscar of today who he was, in the last the last 10 years. Let's say the last 10 years. I don't want you to go too far behind. 10 years is even too long. Maybe let's say 10 years from the age of 16, 17, around that.
Now, 16 to now. Of course, if I'm going in order, I'll say number 1 is joining USIU. Secondly would be meeting Yumiko. Number 3, having a daughter.
Oh wow!
But
did that remake who Oscar was? Those are highlights.
Those are highlights. So things that made Oscar is my discovery of drunk Oscar, right?
Which you've already explained that story.
Yeah.
For people who want to know, you should watch episode, I think it was 2, where you talked about it.
No, 3. It's 3.
Last episode you talked about? I thought it was episode 2. Anyway, pointers, continue, yeah?
Yeah, so that's, and what else?
Oh, you're right, it was episode 3, by the way. I just looked.
Yeah. What else? Going through financial problems when I first moved to Japan to live here. So the things that have made Oscar today are just, they're the challenges, man. The moments when I felt the most lost. Having a daughter, it was the most beautiful experience of my life, but only the pain. I remember the pain of my past so clearly, And that pain, it motivates me. Not motivates me, but it definitely influences my decision making to this day, because I'm trying to avoid pain, right? I'm trying to avoid the pain. And of course, sometimes by me trying to avoid momentary pain, I end up causing long-term pain or pain in the future.
So by you trying to avoid pain, you inevitably, you don't cause pain to yourself immediately. It's almost as if you take an IOU and that pain is dealt to you more in the future, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, but man, pain is good, man. Pain is good. You remember,
well, there's good pain. I think there's good pain and there's bad pain.
Yeah, of course. But I'm talking about the pain of growth.
Ah, okay.
The pain of improvement.
The best one.
When we're doing jiu-jitsu with Andrew, and Andrew, when we're in pain, Andrew will say hey, pain is weakness leaving the body. You remember that?
Yes.
And it's true, man. There's so much. It's easy for me to wake up in the morning, put on Netflix and just chill until I have to go to work, right? It's easy. I can just chill on the sofa, right? But for me to wake up early to decide I'm gonna do a workout in the morning, I'm gonna meditate, I'm gonna clean up the house, I'm gonna do some writing, and then I'm gonna get ready for work. Man, that's doing all those things. It's exhausting, and maybe sometimes it can feel boring, But it's just dealing with the small bullshit you have to go through the day, just going through the motions, so that one day those things that seem so tedious right now will help you find purpose in the future, or help you create purpose.
I'd like to think it helps create the person who will find purpose.
Oh yeah, if you want to say that too, yeah, that works as well. Yeah, but hey, so the pain in my all the bad things happened to me in the past was Oscar just refusing to deal with pain when it came. It was Oscar trying to run away from pain. Even with my drinking, it's instead of me trying to figure out how to actually socialize with people, I chose to drink and let the alcohol do the thinking, you know?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That
But
sounds like
that's
another.
that.
That already sounds
That's
like another talk, right there.
yeah. That's the episode. That's the name of this episode. Let the alcohol do the thinking.
Let the alcohol do the thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that will be a future episode. I feel like we can talk about drugs specifically. I'd love to talk
Yeah.
about like our history of drug use. That would be so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, we can talk about that later.
But I'd like to think we're also good people, so it wouldn't be that long of a talk. It'll
Yeah, I
take
mean,
up like
like,
a portion of the episode, but not the
I
whole
mean, like,
episode.
when we're talking about drugs, you know, we're just talking about weed, basically, right? We're not talking about anything else.
Well,
That's
alcohol
most possible.
too.
What?
Alcohol too.
Yeah. So weed and alcohol, right? And cigarettes from
Alcohol
cigarettes
is
as
not
well.
a drug, Oscar.
Yeah. I'm saying like weed and alcohol,
This-
and cigarettes for me, and cigarettes.
And there's also some other stuff too. I know.
Oh yeah, mushrooms and LSD. Yeah.
Yeah, so now it's all coming back. Look at you. Such a you bastard. Okay. So for me,
Mhm.
I already talked about one of them. I was going to IHUB. Second would definitely be coming to Japan,
Mhm.
making the choice to come and work in Japan.
Mhm.
And that's like part one, and part two was going through our company's training. Because in our company's training, the first week, I was doing pretty badly. I've told you, I was like, people do badly in training, in our training, company training. It's called a boot camp because it's supposed to be hard.
Mhm.
And it's supposed to be just like toughen you up a bit and straighten you out so that, you know, when you do enter the actual, like, when you start the actual job, everything seems a lot easier and a lot more chilled back.
Yeah.
So you fit better in the environment. But I wasn't doing well at all, you know. And part of it might have been like a whole psychological element, me being like, oh, I've given up so much to be here and things might not work out. So now that is like in the back of every single thing that I do. And when you have that kind of weight behind every little, suddenly even something as simple as like, should I say hello or good morning to the person who was training us, right?
Yeah.
Like I need to say hello and good morning in a very specific way so that they like me and stuff like that. Like everything needed to have purpose. Everything was being affected by that big weight, basically, of me being here and potentially like me not having a road back home. So under such like, is it emotional distress? That's not emotional distress, right? That's like, I don't know what you call it. Anyway, point is, I was very stressed out at that point. And yeah, I went through that. Not only did I went through that, I've reached a point where I'm actually doing really well in the job, which I never would have imagined doing at that time, because at that time I was in survival mode. So
I get you.
Yeah, that changed completely who I was. That was also, we were talking about humbling moments in Japan. For me, that was a huge humbling moment. That was like the beginning of humbling experiences. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to be calm. Me being here alone, like still just being able to stay in Japan is a blessing. So let me just relax. Everything else, man, as long as you're determined, you can survive. You can find solutions. You can fix your problems, man. It's not that bad. It really isn't that bad. You don't have to like wake up in the morning and go and shot a magi from a well, you know? So it's like your life is good. Your life is good. And then okay, the last experience. What would be the last experience? I have that actually we already talked about all of it. The Zeitgeist too. That completely changed the way how I approach things. How I take in information, whether it was from news, YouTube, and stuff like that, and it made me question my value system, the value system I received from like my parents, and the one that I got from home. And I think questioning your values and ideas, the ones that you inherited from your parents and the environment around you, is a very important step of becoming who you are. Whether you choose to hold on to those values and ideas, or to let go of that value system, it's completely up to you, right? Whatever your journey is it's your journey, right? But just questioning it and thinking about it, I feel like is such an important part. It's like that's one of the obstacles in the hero's journey, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The hero trying
Agreed.
to figure out who he is. What
Yeah.
is he? So yeah, we're on our way to becoming heroes. Any closing comments, Oscar?
Closing comments is we have to go back to looking at the organization, how we can make it better, how we can start making it work, make our own charter, open our bank accounts. And apart from that, I want to say thank you for the listeners, to the listeners once again. The podcast is growing, and maybe as we get better, we'll introduce more things. Like I think we talked about like adding video to the YouTube channel, right?
Oh, but that's still like a faraway idea. It's not
Yeah,
something that's gonna
it's
happen.
coming. It's gonna come. It's gonna come. The point it's gonna come. It's
Yes,
gonna come.
it will.
Yeah, so we'll get better for our audience members. Hey, and thank you, Jason, again. Once again, it's been 1 hour. I think a little bit over 1 hour.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
both have work in a few hours, right?
Yep.
Yep. So thank you so much. Thank you, man.
Wonderful message. Thank you all. Thank you all, family, friends, and listeners out there. And with that, let's end the show. Bye bye.
Bye bye, guys.